anger?
Last time I told you, Bhagavan Ramana said, be angry with your anger.
Uh-huh.
You asked me, does it work? But last time, recently, yesterday, I was very angry, and it did not work. I tried to be angry with my anger, but it
Didn't work.
did not work. So if you have another way to
Right.
with anger.
I mean, as long as you're completely overwhelmed and carried away, there is nothing you can do. Because there you completely forget about even trying to do something about it. But then when you sort of cool down again and your brain starts to function again, then you may remember. And if you have the notion that you can do something about anger, then at least there you can start to do something about it. If you don't have the idea, then you may just go on and on and on and feed your anger and pull it out for God knows how long time. Just keeping it alive and I'm right, they are wrong, I'm right, they are wrong, and wow. What we are doing in the mind. But once you have the idea that you can deal with anger differently, but to keep it up destructively, throwing away your life energy, then at least at that time when the worst has gone and you're calming down a bit, there you can start to work on it. And if you, I mean, angry with your anger, I think Ramana said this a bit in the lighter way. I would recommend you then, when you become aware how angry you still are, how angry you still are, that instead of giving a lecture to yourself, and there I got again and got me again and blah blah blah, or instead of justifying yourself, instead of fighting the anger, you just accept, okay, here now I'm angry. Accept that experience. I'm angry. But instead of holding on to all that made you angry and that feeds the anger and that keeps it going, just watch what it is doing to your experience right now. And you start on the easiest level. You watch what it is doing to your body. See how it is manifesting in your body. For when we are angry, we are invariably in one way or another getting all cramped up. You or wanting to go and beat. Right. And then when you see that, you can start to relax. Instead of dealing with the anger on the level of the anger, you just deal with the anger on the what it is doing to your experience. Instead of being all and keep it going and keeping the mind going what made you angry, just turn your attention to the now and let it be there and just watch it. And if you watch it, then invariably you don't feed it anymore. Gradually it will dissolve by itself. When you relax the body, you also start to relax energetically. If you relax energetically, mentally, intellectually also, you start to relax and you may not think it's so important anymore what made me angry. If you deal with strong emotions that you don't necessarily want to entertain in that way, then if you deal with them again and again like this, then you will catch yourself earlier and earlier and earlier. But as long as you are overwhelmed by the emotion at that moment, you forget everything, nothing can be done. And then when you become aware, don't waste your energy to berate yourself and to judge yourself and say, damn it, in spite of all my years of meditation, in spite of all that, it still is completely getting me. No, At that moment you become aware, oh, got me again. So what? But now I don't need to entertain it. Now I can just watch it. Accept, okay, be angry. Don't refuse to be angry at that time. It's a fact of experience, so don't fight against that fact. Just let that anger be there. It's becoming destructive only if we feed it and then we start destructive actions. Or we keep that stream of destructive energy flowing towards somebody. But if you turn your attention to yourself, even if that emotion, anger is still there, it stops being destructive. It's just an experience. And then you watch it and you relax your legs, relax your feet. The whole body starts to relax. Then when your body relaxes, the rest of your manifestation starts to come along and relax, and the anger starts to dissipate. If you deal with it regularly, when you become aware that that anger is there, you catch yourself earlier and earlier. And eventually you may come to the point that the situation comes and the old habit wants to put up the head of reacting angry, and you can already see it there and then decide whether you want to pick up that emotion or whether you sort of like step out of the way and let it pass like a puff of air. Sometimes you may also decide, okay, I'm picking up that emotion and let it circulate for some time and enjoy it. And there you still can decide whether you want to express it or not.
Yes.
Yeah?
And what if your surrounding has a problem with your anger?
If your surrounding has a problem with your anger, if right, meaning to let your anger there doesn't mean to go after other people.
No, not even if I'm not reacting. It's like just in the energy field or whatever, and then people just like kind of don't feel they want to talk to me or whatever.
Uh-huh. But deal with yourself. And if the surrounding has an objection with that, then it's their problem. Deal with your own anger. And when your own anger gradually disappears, then maybe the reactions also disappear around. But don't first deal with them and then deal with yourself. Deal with yourself and the rest will follow. I mean, if I'm having a problem with what my opposite is going through, then it's really my problem and not his problem. So don't make it into your problem that they have a problem with it. If they create a problem because of that, then let them solve their problem. And what is usually happening, something made us angry. And then we keep that anger and we turn it around. And even if we are not more with that person, we send all that anger to that person, not even being aware what we are doing, and it's getting a circle. That person also picks it up, not quite aware that all that anger comes, and they send their anger to you, and so happily we go on and on and on, sending the anger to and fro. But if you become aware, it's still going on, then let the other person be angry. And you deal with your own anger, and if you start to dissipate your own anger, even if from the other side still it comes, then you stop reacting to it by sending anger again, and by dissipating your anger, the other person's anger also gradually will be dissipated. It starts always with ourselves. We don't have to somehow deal with the whole rest, and then we can also deal with ourselves. Make order and peace here and radiate that, and it starts to reflect. But even then, in this world, still you will always have confrontations. It's not There may be worlds where this does not exist, where they all is peace and harmony and beauty and never all this stuff happens, but not here. It's not created like this. It's created that confrontations happen. The very fact how it's functioning. I mean, if you're living in a subtle world where you can move with the speed of thought, then you don't have to be where it's unpleasant. But if you are living in this world where consciousness is connected to a piece of meat, then we have to somehow deal with the situation where this body is, whether we like it or not. And sometimes it's pleasant, and sometimes it's not pleasant. I'm not promising anyone that once you deal with yourself, after that, your life will be a continuous stream of pleasant experiences. Not here. A moment it's pleasant, a moment it's not pleasant. But if we don't make that into a problem, it's not a problem. Then you can be happily accepting pleasant situations and happily accept unpleasant situations, and equally happily let pleasant situations go, not holding on to, and let unpleasant situations go. This world is created in such a way. It's actually, this world is perfect. Not on its relative level, obviously, not look what's happening, oh my God, but it's the perfect place where consciousness can, within short time, learn and grow and harness power like it's not possible in a harmonious place where you have no confrontation. Even to survive, it's good to learn to be non-violent. It's certainly not a bad idea to be a vegetarian, not to kill animals unnecessarily. But still, let's be honest, in order to survive, you're continuously killing living beings. A rice plant is also a living being. A vegetable is also a living being. The fruit is also a living being. This world is basically created in a violent way. But we can learn not to be unnecessarily violent in it. We can learn not to keep violent emotions unnecessarily holding onto us and radiate violent emotions and do violent and destructive actions. But there will be always confrontations. And the main thing to do in confrontations is have a good look at ourselves and learn to be at ease, at peace in ourselves. The more you are rooted in that, the more you're radiating that, and the more it will be reflected from the surroundings. But still, as long as we are staying in this world, there will always be confrontational situations and unpleasant situations. So what? Yes?
So, but when consciousness expresses itself in everything, then in fact it doesn't matter if animals got killed because people want to eat meat.
Mm-hmm.
So that means like consciousness expresses itself in being a killed animal.
There is just another category of consciousness in an animal than in a rice plant. Like even people who are happily and readily eating animals, they would still hesitate to eat a human.
Luckily.
They eat each other mentally, but but I mean it's a step up on the intensity of consciousness. A dog has certainly more intense consciousness than a rice plant.
But what is intense consciousness? Is there a category of consciousness?
Essentially, it's one, but in expression, in manifestation, there is a difference. And so to destroy an intense consciousness is somehow naturally you feel a greater reluctance to destroy an intense consciousness than a not intense consciousness. I'm not saying now if you want to be spiritual you're obliged to be a vegetarian. I would say listen to your own body, what is right, and don't be excessive. Excessive. And like an Eskimo that lives in the Arctic, then not to live with any animal proteins is most probably unrealistic. Maybe they have in supermarkets also now, I don't know. But listen really to your body, what your body feels good with, not simply to the taste buds. Because people are different. As a rule of thumb, if we are rather moderate with our food, but listen to body, then eat whatever you like. But if your body tells you after eating something, is not happy with you at all for having burdened it with that food, then maybe it's better to gradually reduce that or maybe avoid it. And the tendency is rather to eat lighter if you get more conscious. But I'm not making rules about eating like this. Tibetan lamas, most of them, they are eating meat. They say it's not us that are killing the animals. So,
I think that's what it is. If we had to do our own work to obtain that meat,
then
we
they
would feel
wouldn't do it.
differently than
Right.
going to the store and buying already.
So
prepackaged.
I'm not standing in judgment over that.
But sorry, still not really clear for me. I mean, if consciousness expresses itself through an animal getting killed, then
Maybe you liberate that animal from that miserable form it is in. Right.
I mean-
You don't kill anybody, anything.
exactly.
It's just a transformation. And yet, somehow, the animal may also have had the purpose of coming to this world for a certain amount of experience. And then maybe it is not necessarily a good thing to cut that short.
But do I have the choice? I mean, I don't talk about me, but let's say I talk about me. Do I have the choice to do it, or it's just I even don't have the control of it? Means, okay, I can say I by myself don't eat much meat or since years, but it doesn't matter at all because probably the consciousness itself do what it wants to do. So if I decide I don't eat meat, okay. But if I decide I eat meat, also okay. So it doesn't matter at all.
Now you have two subjects. First said, do I have the choice? And
Yeah.
then,
So because you said better not. Maybe I liberate the animal if I don't eat meat. Let's say that.
Yeah.
And then I say, okay, maybe I don't have the choice to do that because my consciousness expressing through my body maybe wants to eat or not wants to eat. So do I have the control about it?
Oh, yes.
Question mark. Ah, okay.
you can just blindly go through your life, and then usually the way we are growing up, we are growing up in a way that we are very unnatural with ourselves, with our body, with everybody else. The way we are behaving, the way we are feeling, the way we are functioning. And if we are just half asleep going through our life, then invariably we just continue that story. And there you may not have much choice and think you choose all the time, because there invariably there are subtle influences that are there, and you will just in your habitual way react to it without knowing that you are being pushed around all the time. But if you if you start to stop, if you start to turn your attention back to yourself, you are stepping out of that habitual time space karma continuity. Here now there is that creativity of existence, and if you start to connect with that, then your attention becomes subtler, and then you become aware if you are treating your body unnatural. And there you can put the intent in the current that you want to improve that. And the old habit may still push you along for some time to just repeat the same actions again and again. But if that awareness is there, then you can reinforce that intent that you want to be more natural with yourself, and gradually it will start to manifest. You certainly have a say in it. There's no point in saying that anyhow I have no say in it. But then I mean I can go through the world and murder everybody that I don't like and say, oh, I have no say in it. No, we don't have that easy way out. Of course, if we don't start to have a good look at ourselves, we may be a helpless victims of all the conditionings that were there to bring us up under all the habits that we have acquired. But that does not exonerate us, because there is always, every moment, the possibility to be totally locked into that, or to turn the attention 180 degrees and look home. How deep you are capable of looking at that moment may not a part of your freedom, of your decision, but your attempt. That's the little thing that is given to you, that little freedom, and there that we can exercise. And the more we do that, the deeper your experience become, and it's like the longer the line becomes of where you do have choices. You don't have total freedom to do whatever you like, but you are also not a total victim that you don't have any say in it. But that this present moment can happen the way it happens, the way it materializes. It's like there are influences from different levels, from all over, from the past, from the future, from so many sides. It's like a confluence of many influences that magically materializes as this situation. But your intent, your experience, what you creatively do with that situation, that is something you can learn to really bring that out of the spontaneity of your existence. Not predictable, but it's still just one aspect of all the other aspects. You may, with your input, tip the scale and change the situations, or you may not at all change the situation, because your input uh, will be drowned by all the other influences that contribute to that situation. But we can exercise that capacity all the time, and more this flows so spontaneously into this time-space continuum that the influence of it is getting greater and greater, and the line that you have a say and you have a choice is getting longer and longer.